Oh, that's kind of silly by saying he never repaired his refinery at one of his expansions. Just sort of burned down. Kind of silly. It looks like Barracks is making a major push, bringing out SCVs to try to push up this high ground without the dropships to bring some forces to drop on top of these tanks. He's not really getting anywhere and losing a whole bunch of SCVs for really very little gain. So not the most successful of attacks. It looks like Barracks has, however, managed to secure an additional base at the 7 o'clock position, but I'm not sure if he can bring SCVs in. He might use dropships to bring them in, but I don't think he can bring them in on the ground. So now it looks like 5 bases to 4 in advantage of Barracks. Sin is bringing out some rays, picking at these tanks, probably going to kill 1 or 2. If Barracks is slow with his response, where are his Goliaths? Are they in the dropship? Sin, go attack the dropships. Oh, there you go. The Goliaths finally from Barracks coming. I think, you really should use these to kill the dropships instead of picking off a few of these tanks. And now the Goliaths coming from Sin, taking out half the Raves, it looks like. And yeah, I think, the priority should usually be the dropship. If you kill the dropship, you eliminate mobility, which is always very important to do. And looks like Barracks is bringing his SCVs down the gauntlet and getting themselves killed horribly, as I sort of said that he shouldn't do. And looks like Barracks is bringing his dropships in for some sort of attack. There are turrets all over the place, though. Managed to... None of the dropships actually die from the turrets, but they are very weak now. Very low HP. And Sin is doing a good job with his positioning, killing all sorts of SCVs. I don't know what Barracks is doing with these SCVs. I mean, he has 5 bases, but with the number of SCV he's lost, I think they're probably equal economically. So now we see that Sin is transitioning more to a late game. Well, it remains to be seen. He only has 3 starports. But if he puts down a few more and starts upgrading air weapons and armor, 3-3 Raves are really deadly when you can mass up like 24 of them or more. So we'll see what exactly has happened. Oh, it looks to me like Barracks already has his level 2 upgrade on his tanks, and Sin does not. So this, I think, means he's going to commit to Raves. He's almost certainly going to be upgrading air armor and attack. So we'll see how this plays out. I think, yeah, Sin's managed to got... I'm pretty sure that's a new expansion at the 12 o'clock position. So it looks to me like it's 5 bases for 5 bases. So they're probably roughly economically equal. Sin here just bringing a few tanks in at the 8 o'clock position. Because he has high ground, he has some advantage there. Managed to pick off some more tanks of Barracks. Sin is also trying to push in at the 7 o'clock position, but not really having very much success. Unless he masses up more Raves, he's not going to do much there. I think what he's trying to do is sort of cut off the 8 o'clock position from the 7 o'clock position, and he can mass up Raves or troops or whatever, and just going for the attack. Or he can use his Raves to ward off dropships to prevent reinforcements, and he can manage to kill the 8 o'clock position. Oh, he's actually managed to force Barracks to lift the 7 o'clock position. Things are not looking too good for Barracks. If he cannot clear out this attack force by Sin, he's in very good high risk of losing his 8 o'clock position. He's managed to bring a significant number of reinforcements, so it looks like the 7 o'clock position will be secure for now. But if Sin is transitioning to Raves, he's not going to be able to reinforce it place, because dropships, if there's one hard counter to dropships, it's Raves. And yeah, now it looks like Sin is bringing his Raves to start picking at the dropship. Managed to pick off 2 there, losing a few of his Raves, but that's okay. He's almost managed to finish off this command center that's been that's been burning down at the 8 o'clock position. Very good. Sin's managed to build 2 command centers next to each other somewhere. Is he going for nukes or something? Or did he just forget to float that down to, the 5 o'clock position to get his new base? I'm not sure what exactly his deal is. Yeah, Barracks also put down a command center, sort of the natural expansion of the 7 o'clock position, but not really mining right now. Sin's got position over there, and you can see on the mini map that Sin really has an advantage. But let me not talk about this and talk about this new attack by Barracks. Barracks is going for Sin's natural, it looks like, with pretty good force of Goliaths and tanks, but Sin's managed to counter with his tanks on top of the ledge of his natural expansion, or leading to his natural expansion, and it doesn't look like Barracks is going to make much of a progress. Fortunately for him, he's got a few tanks and Goliaths still down at that 5 o'clock position, preventing expansions from going down, which is very helpful. I felt, though, that if you just look at the mini-map, Sin seems to control maybe 60% of it right now, so he definitely has the advantage. He has more 1, 2, 3, 4 mining bases, it looks like, to Barracks' 3, so that's also very nice. So he's in an advantageous position. His 2 armory, I'm almost 100% sure he's upgrading air, with them, and he's going to start pumping raves. I think that's a pretty good move. Pick off the dropships, isolate his expansion, or Barracks' expansions individually, and destroy them. It's a pretty sound strategy. Oh, I mean, Barracks has this... I mean, Sin has this base at the 12 o'clock position, but he's not doing anything with it. I thought he had that base for like a couple minutes now, or like 5 minutes or something. Kind of weird. It looks like Barracks is bringing out some SEVs. I think he's just suiciding them, but with only 3 bases, it's kind of odd. This isn't quite, I feel, the time to be suiciding your SCVs, but then again, he's a pro gamer, so what do I know? Looks like Sin is bringing his raves, wiping out most of Barracks' dropship. He lost a good number of raves there, but I think it was definitely worth it. Basically, Barracks has 1 dropship now, and his mobility is crippled. He's not going to be able to reinforce, and you can see right there that Sin, I think that was a sigh of happiness on his face. No, that he can bring in the raves once he's massed up a good number to do some damage. But it looks to me like Barracks is not letting Sin build up the raves. He's pushing out the front. He's going to try to break the blockade here, and if he manages to do that and gain position over one of Sin's base, it'll be good. Big tank battle going on in the middle. Sin's trying to hold this back. It looks like he might have enough tanks, especially if he brings in some reinforcements here. Barracks still has an advantage, a numerical superiority, but he needs to attack now before Sin reinforces. But it doesn't look like Barracks is going to push his attack. He also seems to have an army sort of above his main push in the middle there. If he can bring both of these armies together, I think he can probably breach one of Sin's base, which would be very helpful in my opinion for his odds victory. And yeah, it looks like Barracks managed to group up a few dropships, and he's gonna probably drop over these tanks and launch a massive attack. Sin only has 3 tanks defending the ramp leading to his natural expansion. There's a massive drop going on. A few raves coming from Sin, but it's not doing much. Barracks looks like completely broke the blockade. There's only a few tanks left for Sin to defend. If Barracks pushing right now, he can have position over the natural of Sin. It looks like Sin's managed to pull some of his tanks back to hold the tanks of Barracks in position right now. And these 2 girls, I can't tell who they're rooting for, what they're doing, or even if they're really watching the game. Anyway, a few more raves coming out for Sin, picking off some of these tanks. Again, the strategic use of raves like that is more and more common, which I think is a good thing. However, it looks like Barracks is, with his managed to rebuild a number of dropship, and now he's dropped all over Sin's natural. Barracks has massed up a large number of tanks, and he's gonna push the natural and break into the main and gain position of the factory line. If he does that, it's GG for Sin. Sin has never managed to build up a critical mass of rave. He only looks like he has 5 right now. That is nowhere near enough to deal with the number of forces that Barracks has. So I am not really sure at this point what Sin can do. I thought Sin was economically ahead because I thought he was mining from the 12 o'clock base for the longest time, but he wasn't apparently. So at this point, looks to me like Barracks has a definitive advantage. He's got position over some of the starports and he's been shelling them. I think he took out one. He's probably going to force a few more to lift right there. Still, Sin does have the 2 island expansions. If he manages to maintain air superiority and pick off dropships, those 2 bases are impervious to attack. So he's not completely out of his game. He lost all of his raves in killing down the dropships. That's, I think, an okay move because he does need to protect his 2 island expansions. He also needs to make sure his main doesn't get breached. Looks like Barracks is going to rebuild his base at the 8 o'clock position, but I think he can defend his main. It's usually fairly easy to defend as Terran. One of these main bases due to the fact that there's a choke point and you just mass up tanks. So it looks like Barracks has a large force outside of Sin's main base, but he's not really able to do much with it. Yeah, Sin's got all sorts of tanks sieged up in his main. If Barracks were wise, or Flash right now, he would send 2 small forces to take out the 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock bases of Sin's, but this is no Flash, so what can we do? Looks like some of these raids are coming, but they're not really doing anything against this number of Goliaths. He needs to mass up like 30 raids with something to take on these Goliaths, but he's not going to have the resources to do that. So, looks like that guy's eating a Pocky stick. Good for him. What was I saying? Right, but I don't think he's got the resources to do that. He's got to commit a lot more resources to tanks to defend his main. Looks like Barracks managed to get some more dropships, and it'll be interesting to see whether he tries to take out one of these island expansions or go for the main. Ooh, Sin using his raves to pick off more tanks. Very nice play there. Yeah, he's got 2/2 upgrades on the raves. Those are starting to get pretty deadly. Terran almost never upgrade mech armor, which makes it so that the air unit... Oh, looks like Barracks is dropping Sin's mate. If he can manage to hold his drop here, he'll have a decisive advantage, but it looks like most of it's clean up, and Sin's bringing his raves to clear out Barracks' drop. It's unfortunate for Barracks. He has 3 more dropships. He might decide to send some more forces in, but he's not going to. He does, however, have position now over Sin's 2 o'clock base. This is what I mean. If Flash were playing, he would send those Goliaths down and wipe out the SCVs. But it doesn't look like Barracks has the presence of mind to do that. Sin bringing his raves and starting to do some serious damage with them. But yeah, with 2/2 upgrades on the raves, if you can mass up like 20 or 30 of them, is extraordinarily deadly. Terran usually don't upgrade armor on mech, so I mean unless their face is raised, so you can see there's a 1 armor upgrade on Barracks' tanks. But yeah, that's why if you manage to catch your opponent off guard with a good rave switch. Oh, it looks like Sin is very good with his raves picking off consistently the dropships of Barracks. Barracks' mobility is completely limited in this game, and it looks like Barracks GG's. Interesting match, not the best of TVTs. I think Barracks might have GG'd a bit early in that, but I guess he sort of realized without mobility to take out the top base and the bottom base, the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock bases, there's not much he can do. Anyway, this young up-and-comer Sin managed to win the game. Good for him. And we will go on to the next match. Woongjin goes up 1-0.